hearing that tone quite a bit, agent referrals, so that's kind of interesting to hear that. I wanted to kind of take you back to capturing leads. I know that is something that you guys have really focused on this year. So what specifically is different about how you've captured leads this year versus maybe last or the year prior?
Well, I think that the thing that probably helped the most this year was that we didn't sit on our hands come January, February, March. We were picking up the phone, we were getting back with past clients and talking to them about real estate, talking to them about the things that we do in order that, we'd be fresh in their mind when they hear somebody wants to buy or sell or invest in real estate. So I think aggressively going back to past clients who we already have a relationship with and asking for business. And just the overall follow-up, using the 800 number signs on our listings and making contact with these people, trying to get in front of people as often as possible, get face-to-face with them. Sometimes it's a pain. You don't necessarily want to run to a particular property and show it, but you know what, you do it. Because all of a sudden, your capture rate, once you're face-to-face, is so much higher than, trying to connect with them on the internet or connect with them on the phone.
So you're grabbing off data, like for that example, prospective buyers that are calling on the 800, you're actually meeting them over at 123 Main Street, that sort of thing? That's great, I like that a lot. Now, are you doing anything personally, are you doing anything differently as far as your approach to the business?
I'm working. I have not sold from a buyer standpoint. I have not taken on buyers in 3 years, 4 years. And all of a sudden we kind of restructured the office, the team a little bit. And I thought, you know what, I'm gonna start grabbing buyers. And I'll just say this, I forgot how good I was working with buyers. I really do. I used to hate it, man, but right now, I'm showing 5, 7 houses, and boom, we're under contract.
How's that happening? Because I'll just be vulnerable here. I'll tell you, I'm the guy that showed 50 homes that I hated.
Oh, we've always had that client, everybody said that.
That was me.
We finally got Ryan under contract this week, and we went back to the buyer's agency agreement, and it was 14 months ago. And we showed him a few houses. Of course, Mindy showed him a lot, and she finally said, here, you take them, and it took me 4 weeks to get them under contract.
So what are you doing differently? What are you doing differently than
Well, I take a proactive approach. We're not there to just show houses. We're there to sell houses. If you don't go in, if you don't know what the description is of that house based on what they got in the MLS, if you don't know what the taxes are, if you don't know anything about that house, and you just kind of walk in, here it is, you're just showing houses. You're not selling. Ask for permission if you can walk with them, because you might be able to point out the plant shelves. You might be able to point out the granite countertops that they might miss, or the backsplash, or these hardwood floors are new. Things like that. Or hey, did you notice the AC system? It's a 16 SEER. It's one of the best models out there right now. Your utility costs are going to be low. That's our job. It's not to show houses. Our job is to sell houses. And also at the same time, I'll get on my soapbox. Our job also is to give the listing agent great feedback. Okay, we're all in this together. Give them great feedback, and they will enjoy working with you in the future, because you'll help them get a price reduction if that's what's necessary. And they're going to like you if you help them get a price reduction, because you say, hey, I looked at 5 houses today, all in the same price point. Your house was the highest. You didn't have the features that other houses were selling that we saw. They had a lower price. And next thing you know, you get a little note mail, hey Mark, thank you, I got a price reduction. So I think working, that's what I'm doing differently. And at the same time too, I'm holding my buyer's agents more accountable than what I have in the past.
That's great. So, well, I hear that you're holding your business and more accountable there too. When you say you're working more, are you not having any free time, or are you just being?
Oh no, I brought my schedule. People have a schedule. If you don't schedule fun, if you don't schedule work, you won't have a good time doing either one of them. So, I have a schedule, and I played in the golf league on Tuesday nights. I played the golf league on Thursday nights, and I did that the entire season, and I have not missed one night. Because I tell my clients, I'm not available. Would you like to go at this time or this time? And I've finished golf, and I've showed property at 9:30. But that's when I was available. So I kind of control that. This weekend, I'll be down at the lake for the shootout. So I schedule that. And So, yeah, I feel like I have more time now because I'm busy and I'm doing a better job scheduling my business and scheduling my life.
That's awesome. That's really cool. I like that.
And plus, if you have a schedule, it's kind of yellow highlighted whenever you get something done. And at the end of the week, you got like a yellow sheet of paper, you know, you think, oh my God, look at what I got done this week. Because I tell you what, if you don't have it written down what you're gonna do, at the end of the week, you go, what did I do? Or where did this day go? Right, Byron? You know, what happened? And you think, I'm a bum, you know, I didn't do anything today. But I tell you what, you got yourself a punch list for every day, and every day of the week, and you start checking it off, you'll find out that you'll be more productive, and you'll feel better about yourself at the end of the year, and the week, and the day.
I couldn't agree more. Not to get too technical, but I think this is an area where I think some folks might want to hear more about. What do you physically use to go ahead and use for your schedule?
Well, I was using Outlook, and now I went over to Google Calendars, so I use Google Calendars. I found it a lot easier than Outlook right now, once I get used to it. And plus, you can, you know, if you share business with another partner or whatever, you can share calendars, it makes it really nice.
That's awesome. Okay. Great. We
Plus,
talked
I'm ADHD, if I don't write it down, I'll just sit there all day.
I mean, it's popping up on your phone and stuff like that too, right? Okay. All right, so we talked a little bit about how you're consulting your buyers right now. I mean, is there anything maybe you left out there that you're compelled to share on the buy side?
No, I think what's would be the buyers, I mean, we've got to get together on a buyer's consultation. You know, sit down, you know, with the client, preferably, you know, at the office, and tell them what you actually do for a living. Tell them why you get paid, what you get paid, and show what your value is. Because they won't understand what we do or why we get paid what we do unless we tell them what our real value is. And I think the only way you can do that is a one-on-one consultation. And at the same time, you have to find out what their goals and plans are, and it's a great time to bring in, you know, a mortgage lender and get them on track. I think if you follow that program, when you go out with them, you're just not out showing houses, you're out there to sell them something. You got, you know, my mentors that, you know, you guys have all heard me say before, my mentor told me there's three things before anybody even gets you in your car, and that is they have to have a buyer's agency agreement, you have to have a pre-approval letter, and they have to have your checkbook. And if you want to change the look on your buyers' faces, say, oh, we're going to look at prices today, you know, the houses today, don't forget your checkbook. You know, why? If we find the house, how are we going to write an earnest money check? Bring your checkbook. It completely changes the way in which they look at houses and the way that they spend time that day.
You're in a mindset that they're prepared to buy. I think it's kind of you set that mindset up.
Right, and we always pick the best house of the day.
So that's what you
You
show.
know, we walk into the first house and say, hey, I guess this is number one. We walk into the second house, hey, is this house number one or is the other house number one? Well, this house is number one. Okay, the first house is number two. So at the end of the day, you have a number one house. And you'll know whether it's the fit or not, but yet at the same time, you look at it and say, well, this is our number one house today. Are you ready to write? And they say, well, no, maybe not this time. I said, okay, the next time you go out, that number one house from the previous trip, you walk and you have it in your hand. Before you go into the next house, on the second time out, you say, oh, here's our number one house. We're going to go ahead and compare everything to our number one the last time we went out. So they're not starting all over.
That's right. So you bring that with you.
Oh, yeah.
That's great.
This was our number one for last time out. You know, we got to find something better than this. And you know what, they may or may not. And at the same time, you know, you hope that if they don't, that number one's still available from the previous time.
So what do you do if, I love this idea. So what do you do if nothing knocks off number one? So that you recommend that you write at that point, or how do you bring that up?
Yeah, you just let's look at it and say, you know, we've looked at 10 houses now. We've been out 2 times. You know, we've looked at, you know, the same price point. We've looked in the same general area. Don't you feel that this house here that we picked as your number one is the house that is the best in the market at this time that meets your criteria? Now, I want you to think about this. If this is your number one, it's probably somebody else's number one too. So you have to build a sense of urgency. Yeah, you have to build a sense of urgency because all of a sudden, you know, the next day, hey, let's go back and look at the house for the you know, the second time, and it's gone. which sometimes is a good thing, sometimes is a bad thing, because I'll tell you what, if they like a house and it sells out from underneath them, they normally don't drag their feet on the next one. So that's kind of a plus. So you always show them the best house first and say, I hope this sells. No, actually, you know, you want to do the best job you can for them, but you do have to show a sense of urgency. Because, you know, there's nothing like going out 3 times, and all 3 times their number 1 house has been sold. That's not their fault, that's your fault.
It's true, right?
That's our job, we're out there to sell homes and show the best house that's out there.
I think that's phenomenal. I love the practical tools there, but I can physically take that away and put that into my buyer servicing kind of package today. What's maybe 1 or 2 things that you might be doing differently to consult with your sellers?
Well, I think that, you know, Keith kind of touched on it a little bit. I mean, you know, you have a house that's either on the market or it's in the market. You know, on the market, you know, it's priced wrong, it doesn't have the right conditions. You know, you sit down, and what I tell my sellers is that, you know, I'm gonna put your house in the market. And it's gonna be priced right, it's gonna have the right conditions of what today's buyer's looking for. And, you know, it might be 6 weeks before it goes up in the market, but it's gonna have the conditions and it's gonna have, you know, the price. They have to understand that. And if you use in the market often enough, and you say, well, put your house on the market, they go, no, Mark, you put your house in the market. They'll correct you. So I think you gotta be just point blank honest with them. Yes, there are some buyers out there. Yes, today's buyers are picky, but at the same time, they are buying. And this is what they're looking for. You know, you're gonna need to change this out, or you're gonna need to get your carpets clean, or, you know, the Pepto-Bismol, you know, pink room is just not gonna fly. You know, you're gonna need to paint it Realtor beige. And if you know what that color is, just go to Lowe's or any other hardware store and say, I need Realtor beige, and they'll just pull it out and hand it to you.
Relo gray.
Huh?
Relocation gray.
Relocation gray. But I think, you know, from a seller standpoint, is you've got to price their house right. You know, I try not to price anything over 5% of what the statistics are telling me it's going to sell for. And it's a tough conversation sometimes. It really is. And yeah, sometimes we're wrong. And you just call them up and say, you know what, it's been 3 weeks, we've had 2 showings, no offers. I was wrong. You know, your house is actually being perceived by today's buyers of a home for a price that should be priced less. And, you know, the feedback, you know, I don't feedback to the sellers, I don't sugarcoat it. You know, I give it to them straight from the agent. And sometimes it's kind of brutal, and other times it's so vague it's ridiculous. So that's why I have a soapbox before. You know, give good feedback. You know, listing agents will love you. And if you have a house listed too, wouldn't you want to help, you know, 10 people help you get a price reduction? Because they're being honest, is your price too high, and maybe all of a sudden your seller, the light bulb's going to go off like, God, I guess you're right. And more than likely, you know, if we come with a lower price, we're probably supporting the listing agent anyway. So don't be afraid to write either.
There's a couple themes that I'm kind of hearing. One is just candor, just honesty, and, you know, suppressing that need to be liked when you're talking to the seller and saying what you think that they want to hear, but rather saying what they need to hear.
Yeah, and that comes with, I think that comes with experience. And once you dabble in doing that, I think you'll find that you'll get a lot of respect from your buyers or your sellers. And they're being straightforward and honest.
Awesome stuff.
You know, what do you really think? That's not what I think, it's what the market thinks. You know, the market thinks that you're priced too high for the size of your bedrooms. They're finding other homes with larger bedrooms for the same price, or a flatter yard.
I think keep going. I'm restricted by some time here, but I'm going to end off with just one final question. If you're cool with, at least on the way back, you know, people can kind of grab you and ask any questions they might have. But what's one thing that if I wasn't doing in my business today, what would you suggest that I start focusing on right now to really explode out of the gate 2014 and finish strong in 2013? Just one thing.
I would work your SOI. I would work your past clients. no better references are better than the client that you closed with, 2 months before. And just ask them, hey, I'm looking for somebody who wants to buy, sell, or does the real estate, can you help? And you want to call them up anyway, ask them how things are going, you've got a talking point. Something came up, I don't know what class it was, but they talked about the text thing. Who was that, Bonnie? They said whenever they're driving around, and all of a sudden they see like an antique car, and they know that Jeremy's an antique car collector. Hey, I was just cruising by, did you see that antique car that's for sale up there on 94 in Youngerman? And just text them. I hope things are going well, Mark. And that's just another way you can touch with your clients without, maybe, getting in their face and talking about real estate. You're just keeping your name out in front of them. Yeah, Mark remembers that, that I collect, antique cars. Or, things along those lines. Hey, I was going by and, did you know there's a new woodworking shop that just opened up in St. Charles? And just little things like that. So the key thing now is from now, and what we did a lot of this past year was really making a conscientious effort in October, November, December, January, February to make contact with people so that we're first in mind when either they or their friends go apart.
That's awesome stuff, man. Did you get some pretty good ideas here? I mean, some great practical ideas and just great concepts too. Mark, awesome. Cool. I'll tell you what, I asked Bonnie to share a little bit about what's kind of going on at Bold. So Bonnie,
Yeah.
what's happening? This past Thursday was the first up to Bold, so tell me a little bit about that. What was that kind of like for you?
Well, I had to leave midday, but, and I came back. But it was really cool because, each time you do take, you are in a different spot, and I'm extremely freaking out because I'm in a whole different spot. So, just what he had to say, I took it a lot differently.
How so? This is your sixth time, so I don't understand. Are you just slow? Or?
A little bit, and I'll go with that. Because that's true though, because I've never
I
had to
kid, because
worry.
this is my seventh, so if you're slow, I'm slower.
I really am slow because I have not, 1 through 5, I did not listen. I listened, but I didn't listen to the seller side or to the listing side.
You know what, actually, I was thinking about you when John, you talked about the confetti pieces. He said something along like our RAS, there's 2 million particles that come at us every second as far as different information that I can take in and digest. And the RAS actually will go ahead and actually comprehend and catalog all 134 of those.
Right.
So there's a lot that's going on around us that we're not really sinking in or it's not marinating, and that's what I'm hearing you say there.
Right. I would take
So
little
it's a
bits and
real
pieces.
science thing that's going on
Yeah.
here.
Just put it to the side in case Stephanie made aha here or there,
Right.
but I never really put any of it in play, and I can say that now because I'm going to put it in play this time. But with that, I should have probably been kicked out a couple times now. So it's going to be a little bit different.
So describe, for some of us that haven't had a chance to actually go to the event or anything like that, describe it for us. What is it? What's it all about?
Oh man, 7 weeks, all day, scripts, dialogues, mindset work, exercises that kind of expand you a little bit and make you think. And it's definitely needed. It is needed. And I'm not, financially able to right now with kicking off the business and everything, but it is so important that I had to make it work.
But you're making efforts to do that. What would you say to some of those individuals that might be on the fence of this goal?
If you want to get where you want to get, if you don't take bold, you're not going to get there. That was the one thing that you and I were trying to chat about. Like, how do I get up and running to where I need to be? And bold is the key to that. It really is. And I can say that because I've been there 6 times now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, just like we practiced. No, awesome job. You did awesome with that. But I totally agree with it, Bonnie. Anybody that was actually on Thursday heard me kind of say a piece about this. And, I was talking with my coach last week about where I'm at in reference to what I was hoping to accomplish in 2013. And really quickly said, well, where are you at into that? And so we've quantified where I was, and I was probably not where I want to be. And for those of us in the room that are actually well beyond where we want to be, he posted the question. He said, well, what's next for you? So I'll pose that question. Reflect on that for a second. If you are accomplishing your goals right now, what is next for you? And if we're not, then how are we going to bridge the gap to where we're at, to where we want to be? All right? And then the main thing that he really kind kind of did a paradigm shift for me, is he made me look at ourselves as the asset. Right? For pretty much everybody in this room right now, I mean, the main asset for our business is ourselves, right? So what are we going to do to invest in that asset? Are we just going to let it go to waste and just resign to the fact that this is how it will always be and that's what's going to happen? Or are we going to invest some way as far as surrounding ourselves with industry-leading techniques? And sometimes it's just an investment of time, right? Experience. And usually that comes with some sort of dollar amount or investment that we look at there. And gold is not cheap, is it? How much is it? $799, actually $849 right now. So are there ways that we could figure that out? Yeah, I mean, it kind of blows my mind. I mean, like, everybody gets caught up in the reimbursement program, which, by the way, you've got the detailed is that correct? You've got the detailed reimbursement program, $200 per deal, and it's spelled out very clearly in there on the back side of the bold sheet for you. And then the bold sheet actually has the dates that we had coming up here. By the way, we only have 20 spots left. We actually had 90 people register on our first day, so we only have actually a little bit less than 20 spots available for anybody else that would like to go ahead and join. I guess at the end of the day, I always get a little confused. The reimbursement program, it's there to go ahead and help out anybody that actually might not be able to go and financially make that work out. But the average individual does somewhere around 15 transactions in the next 7 weeks, right? That's double the average realtor's transactions over the course of a year. If you look at 15 deals, what's gross commission of what? What's a number you're going to use? Not my number, your number. $3 grand. Say gross commission of $3 grand. Which I think is fairly low right now. It's a $100,000 price point. Let's use that. That's $45,000 right there. And I know all too often we get caught up on getting that $850 back, that $800 back. I get it, I do. But the dollar amount that's out there is much greater than the $800 that's there for you. What I'd ask of you guys, if you any sort of level thinking about doing it and haven't made the commitment, if it's anything to do with financing or really anything else, reach out to me, guys. I've got a goal to have our office have the most agents in it from any of those 3 offices, so 4 altogether, right? Because I know what it does for each individual. I'll tell you, I'm honored to see a couple people in there because I know for a fact it will change their lives. There's a lot of others that I think it will make a big impact on their lives, but there's a few of them in there that I'm blown away. I'm so excited to make a commitment to go on that journey because I know it's going to change their world, not just professionally, but personally. It's something I've got a lot of conviction in. I wouldn't push it unless I thought it was of value. To make it 100% clear, I get nothing out of the bold as far as the financially. There's nothing that comes to me as far as the $800 is concerned. I just think it's an investment that I would want to make if I was that asset of my business, right? So I encourage you guys to explore that. A few other things that are coming up as well that I want to make sure that you guys are aware of. Launch is having a ton of success. Stephanie, tell me a little bit about launch. If you guys are just getting the ball rolling in real estate or kind of going into the next year, tell me why I'm able to be at launch.
I think for one, you have not just a group bounce ideas off of. I always like having somebody that I can go to, hey, what about this, what about that, and it's such a good thing. And I've been in it since the beginning. I have a closing one, I know today, and it's 2 closings for next month. So then now I'm thinking, okay, I'm ready to get my 3 closings so I can move on to Lori. But launch just seems like it just gives you ideas, gives you accountability. It just gives you focus, and you have somebody that you can actually talk to, especially if you're new or you have questions about things. What about this? What about that? So.
Right, and Julian does a great job of diving into the X's and O's. And if you are newer in the industry, there's a lot of questions that come up. And I'll be honest with you, I mean, I remember doing the first few transactions. Everything was an emergency, right? Everything was, and Julian's just got some extreme availability. So I make sure she walks you through that stuff, right? You agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's some awesome stuff, and I really got kind of look into that. The other thing too, we've also been having a ton of success over the last short while, really this entire year. And just like we'd encourage you guys to go ahead and have some client appreciation events, we want to have client appreciation events. So To get more into a routine there, we're going to be doing an agent appreciation event, actually at the Calvin Wine Cellar on August 28th. I'd love for you guys all to be there. It's from 4 to 6. Beverages will be provided, refreshments, that sort of thing. So I'd love to have as many folks as possible there, as we're going to be celebrating a lot of your guys' successes. It's making our market center so great. Moving from that, actually this Wednesday, I'm kind of hopping around a little bit. This Wednesday, if anybody cares to, grab me sometime, like literally the next hour. On Wednesday, I do have 1 or 2 more scholarships to go to the Wealth Building with Nash out in Kansas City. We're actually leaving at 5 a.m. on Wednesday morning if you care to join us. If that is something that you have some interest in, please come talk to me on that one. Finally, Mega Camp's right around the corner, literally right around the corner. It's September 16th and 21st. I'm just going to plant a seed in your mind that is one area that if you're looking to take your business to that proverbial next level, that's really an event that really helps expand that mind and that vision, and I'd encourage you guys to be in attendance to that too. Without further ado, I do want to go ahead and introduce a couple of our vendors here. Melissa, tell me a little bit about what's going on with the mortgage minute with Delmar.
Yeah, rates are just going up and down. We've really done a good job of managing that though. I've been really keeping an eye on it, having my cell phone by my bed every morning, checking it, locking rates, waiting till the rates go back down to lock the rate at the lowest point. So actively managing that. We've been getting a lot more deals from the realtors, so thank you guys for supporting us in that. Let us know. We've been kind of going out there and letting people know that we are available. We have the sign writers, we have flyers. We can definitely help you with any marketing that you're trying to come up with. I've offered to go door knocking with Bonnie on a Saturday morning.
That is awesome.
Yeah,
That is awesome.
let us know what we need to do to, help you with your business, and that's really what we're here for too. So, again, rates are kind of going up and down, so let us know as soon as possible so we can have that flexibility, to lock the rates. And some of the realtors that we've kind of obtained, I would say, they had another lender and it wasn't working out, and they went with us kind of the last minute. We appreciate the look on that, but had we had more time in the beginning, we might have been able to give them a better rate and definitely kind of a better experience because we're, rushing to get everything done at the last minute. So again, we appreciate you guys and just let us know what we can do to help you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I love it. I love it. Yeah, we'll do that. We're getting a lot of applause, so let's just have a massive applause. We'll just crazy. So Brian, what's going on?
Thanks, John. Thanks, John. For those that I haven't met personally, I'm Brian Leese with Title Partners, your in-house title company. A couple things I wanted to mention. I sent an email out middle of last week, and I know that Alex had, I believe, filed it this morning on some construction work that is going to be happening on the building. Charter is actually, we're networking with all of our other offices through Charter. They have to access the building, and Jackie will be the first to tell you that they tried to do it in the middle of the day a couple weeks ago, and it was very, very, very loud throughout the entire office, so we scheduled it after hours. It was originally rescheduled for tomorrow, but now it looks like it's going to be moved to later in the week. So I'll let Alex know, and she'll hopefully send an email blast out again. So I want to make sure that everybody knows that, because you might want to stay away from the office during that 2-hour period that it's going to take to do that. Also, I know I've mentioned in the last few meetings that some of the changes that we made internally to hopefully better enhance the service that we offer you is to bring in Tammy and Renee, a processor and closer, to assist Dawn in the day-to-day operations and the closing and the services that we provide. I'm not sure if anybody's had a chance to use it, but I know that one person has had her first closing with them and was kind enough to maybe say a few words on her experience with the two of them.
Yeah, and just like you said, new agents, everything's an emergency. Everything was an emergency. And like the morning of, I'm like, what do you need? What did I not do? And it's always kind of iffy when you get those new people, how they come and go, but they're really awesome. And they're like, Bonnie, you're freaking out for nothing? You got this, don't worry. And they had it, and they loved them. So huge. You guys got to do them.
And we appreciate that, Bonnie. And again, it really doesn't necessarily matter what I say about them. Of course, I'm going to say how great they are. It really is important what you say about them, what your experience is with them, and I hope it is something positive. If you haven't had a chance, first of all, just to meet them, please feel free to stop in and introduce yourselves, but certainly we would appreciate any business you could send to them as well. So thank you all very much.
All right. That's good. I like it. All right, guys. So we had a raffle. To be eligible for it, you had to be in attendance the first pulled. And so we wanted to go ahead and deliver this, and we thought we'd pull the drawing today. Alex, Jackie, Gina did a phenomenal job getting the great attendance there. You guys were well recognized in the region for participating, and for that, we want to go ahead and share with you one lucky winner. It's one of the new iPads.